On? All right. Hello again, and welcome to episode 2 of the Filmcast. My name is Aiden Lorenzo. If you enjoyed the first episode, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And yeah, with that being said, let's get right into business. Starting off with today, and we're going to be starting off with an interesting bit of news that just came at us like in the past couple of days, and that is that Hugh Jackman will be returning to his role of Wolverine for surprisingly Deadpool 3. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. How could this happen? Well, to be honest, I don't know. And to and also to be honest, I'm pretty worried because Logan was really great. And the fact that Hugh Jackman is just coming back to this kind of worries me, but knowing that it's Deadpool 3, it's probably going to be absolutely hilarious. Also about Deadpool 3, we finally got a release date for it. And that and it'll be coming right at us on September 6th, 2024, which means we have less than 2 years to prepare for it. So, yeah. Um with that being with that being said, let's get right into the review. So, so today's review is going to be Don't Worry Darling, the latest film from actor and director Olivia Wilde. The film stars the film does star Olivia Wilde, but it also stars Harry Styles, Florence Pugh, Nick Kroll, Gemma Chan, and Chris Pine. The film fol- the film follows Harry Styles and Florence Pugh as a married couple living in a 50s-esque dystopian company town run by Harry Styles' boss, played by Chris Pine. And then and then Florence Pugh starts realizing that this is I hang on a second. All right, let's get back to this. So the film follows Florence Pugh and Harry Styles as a young couple living in a 1950s-esque company town run by Chris Pine, who is Harry Styles' boss in this film. And then Florence Pugh realizes that this town is just not really all that worth it. And she starts peeling back all the layers to find out the truth about this town. Now, I think it's time for when talking about this movie, I think we really need to discuss the elephant in the room first. And that is all the behind the scenes drama that has surrounded this movie. This includes but is not limited to the controversial firing and the controversial firing of Shia LaBeouf, who was initially supposed to play Harry Styles' part, as well as backst- as well as conflicts between Olivia Wilde and Florence Pugh, and well, Harry Styles getting paid more than Florence Pugh, and just him not being that good of an actor. And if I can be honest, this movie was kind of disappointing. Don't get me wrong, there was a lot to like about it. It was really well made. I cannot stress this enough. The cinematography, editing, the visuals, production design, costume design, all that stuff, amazing. Plus, plus Florence Pugh gave a really great performance, as did like Chris Pine, Gemma Chan, and surprisingly Nick Kroll, who is mainly known as a comedic actor. And I really do hope that this like opens the door for more like comedic actors taking serious films. However, there's just some things wrong with this film. Let me just get it out of the way now. Harry Styles' performance is mixed opinions. On one hand, he does show elements of being a good actor, but you can obviously tell that he's just not ready yet. And he's just being outacted by Florence Pugh and everyone else around him. What else? What else? What else? What else? Oh yeah. Um, the story. It's literally just the Truman Show, but with a different coat of paint. Like if you want like a good psychological thriller that is, more a little more lighthearted, but still, just watch the Truman Show. It's much better. But yeah, don't worry, darling. It's a beautifully made movie and well acted for the most part, but there but it's also pretty disappointing. And yeah, and moving on from that, I'm actually going to review a movie that I watched last night. Yeah, I know. 2 reviews in 1 episode. What are the odds? Anyways, and this comes from a film that literally came out yesterday, and that film is the controversial Marilyn Monroe biopic, Blonde. Well, the biopic is kind of stretching it. It's actually based on a book, but yeah. Anyways, and the reason why it's so controversial is because of, well, a couple of things. First off, it's rated NC-17, which is a huge no-no. Well, at least for a theatrical movie, but this is on Netflix, so who cares, I guess. But also they cast Ana de Armas as Marilyn Monroe. And for those of you who don't know, Ana de Armas is Cuban. And and while that and while I understand why some people would be confused by that, I thought that she did an excellent job with what she was given. As did as did the rest of the actors, including Bobby Cannavale, Adrian Brody, and Julianne Nicholson. However, and I do mean however, this was honestly kind of an uncomfortable watch. Well, for starters, since it's rated NC-17, there's a lot of, I don't really know if I can say this or not, but there's a lot of very uncomfortable scenes of the sexual variety. And what else? What else? What else? Oh yeah, let's talk. Let's talk about the style of the movie. It's honestly like pretty art housey, if you will. Like I'm not very familiar with the director, Andrew Dominic, but I do know that he directed the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford and Killing Them Softly. And since I haven't seen those movies, this is pretty much my introduction to Andrew Dominic. And seeing this movie, I can say with confidence that I'm not a very big fan of him. Um, but yeah, Blonde. The only reason that y'all should see it is because of Ana de Armas. She gives a great performance, but I probably already said that. and spe- so overall, I would give Blonde a I'd give it more of a 2.5 out of 5. It wasn't it wasn't horrible, but it should have been so much better. Actually, I didn't give a rating for Don't Worry, Darling either, so I'd give it maybe a 3 out of 5. It's better than Blonde, but that's not saying a lot. Anyways, I'm gonna be t- now I'm gonna discuss a movie that's actually coming out next week, but I feel it's important to discuss it. And that movie is the murder mystery film Amsterdam. Now, there are a couple of important things to know about this movie. Um, hang on a second. First off, the movie has an absolutely stacked cast, including but not limited to Christian Bale, Margot Robbie, John David Washington, Chris Rock, Anya Taylor-Joy, Zoe Saldana, Mike Myers, Michael Shannon, Timothy Olyphant, Andrea Riseborough, Taylor Swift, Rami Malek, and Robert De Niro. But more importantly, the film is directed by David O. Russell. Now, for those of you who do not know who David Russell is, then that's probably a good thing, because he might have been the guy who directed Silver Linings Playbook and The Fighter, which are both really good movies, but he is not exactly the best person to be around, especially on set of his movies. And you may be wondering, why? Well, in all, well, I there's no real way other way of putting it. So he beat up George Clooney. He beat up Christopher Nolan. He screamed at Lily Tomlin. He bullied Amy Adams to the point where Christian Bale had to get involved. And probably the worst out of all of them, he well, there's really no other way of putting it. He essayed his niece, his transgender niece. Yeah, as you can tell, the fact that David O. Russell still gets work is honestly disgraceful. Regardless, I'm probably still gonna see Amsterdam because, you know, the it's a massive cast and it's a mystery film, so of course I'd be into that. But yeah, Amsterdam will be distributed by 20th Century Fox and Regency Enterprises, and the film will be released next Friday, October 7th, 2022. So let's see what we talked about today. We talked about Hugh Jackman returning for Deadpool 3. We talked about Don't Worry, Darling. We talked about Blonde, and we talked about Amsterdam and pretty much why I think you should and shouldn't see it. Um, Anyways, so this week we'll be getting some new movies both in theaters and on streaming. First up, we have from Paramount Pictures, we have the horror film Smile, which as the plot describes, after witnessing a bizarre traumatic incident involving a patient, Dr. Rose Cotter starts experiencing frightening occurrences that she can't explain, and she must confront her troubling past in order to survive. Now, and as you can tell, the movie is about, and uh, as you could tell by the trailers and commercials, the film is haunted by a smile, which looks like this. Um, but um, but actually, the real reason why you should be excited for this movie is because of the marketing. They have people, they have people outside of baseball games and talk shows just somewhere in the background smiling and wearing like bright shirts that display the title of the movie, which is honestly pretty interesting. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, the film comes out tomorrow, and that, and let's move on to the next film. Also coming out tomorrow, we have the movie Bros, which is directed by Nicholas Stoller, the director of Forgetting Sarah Marshall. In my opinion, one of the greatest romantic comedies ever made. And the film is produced by comedy mega producer Judd Apatow, who probably produced some of your favorite comedy movies. And the film stars Billy Eichner as a writer who's supposed to write a romantic comedy about a gay couple. And along the way, he meets and falls in love with a lawyer played by Luke McFarlane, not to be confused with Seth MacFarlane. And there's really no other way of putting it. It's a gay romantic comedy, which is pretty interesting. And I hope that this leads to more films like Bros coming out in the future. Regardless, this film will be distributed by Universal Pictures, and it is set to come out tomorrow or tonight for previews, but that doesn't matter. And the last film that you should be excited for this week is the long, long awaited sequel to the Halloween classic Hocus Pocus, being released on Disney Plus, and and they managed to bring back Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Najimy as the Sanderson sisters as they return to present day Salem looking for revenge over almost 30 years after the first film. And while part of me is excited for this movie because, it's a sequel to Hocus Pocus, one of the greatest Halloween movies ever made, another part of me is not very excited because, well, it came out almost 30 years after the original. While I can explain that while Hocus Pocus is popular now, especially around this time of the year, what I'm not like sequels that have been released like decades after their predecessor don't really tend to be very good. A great example of this actually came last year with Coming to America, the sequel to Eddie Murphy's film Coming to America, which was released all the way back in like the late 80s. Coming to America was, not a very good movie. And I fear that this might happen to Hocus Pocus too. Regardless, this film will be released on Disney Plus tomorrow. And yeah, I guess that's really where I'm gonna end things today. I couldn't really think of anything else to talk about, so I apologize for that. Regardless, I hope y'all are liking this show. If you want if you want me to talk about like any other any other recent film news, leave a comment. And more importantly, subscribe to WIUR's YouTube channel. It would really help. My name is Aiden Lorenzo, and I hope you have a very nice day.